Live. There we go. Yeah, you guys should be seeing me now. Sorry, I have this new setup, and I can actually show it to you. It's pretty cool. So first of all, welcome to everybody. Thank you guys for tuning into this stream. Thank you especially to channel members. You guys have really allowed me to keep doing this and focus in and I've got more Davinci Resolve videos coming out every week for the next couple weeks on Thursdays, and then Tuesdays I will continue to do my live streams. And because of you guys, because of your support, I invested a little bit of money in some better, well, I shouldn't say better equipment, just more fitting equipment. I'm a hardware guy, I like buttons, so I can show you with a push of a button here. And let's see, yeah, you guys should be seeing this. Okay, so I got this. This is an OC Go stream. This is one of those kind of Blackmagic ATEM mini knockoffs. It was $2.95 on Amazon, but I can switch sources here. I can preview, I can play back video. So this is actually what I'm streaming from today. And it is, I'm not using OBS at all. This is a hardware device. So I've got my GH5 hooked up. I've got a split from my second monitor. This monitor we'll be checking out today. And then I have my iPhone hooked up with, let me switch back to this, a little adapter, USB-C to HDMI adapter, and then that's running Blackmagic camera on the iPhone, and you should be able to see me right there. So that's the setup for today. Like I said, thank you guys for all of your support, and I'm gonna double down on the streaming stuff and the YouTube content, because the way the industry is, it's slowed down quite a bit, so I actually have time to make some content. But if there's any issues with the stream, just let me know. I'll try to troubleshoot it live. But today we're talking about Davinci Resolve. So if you haven't followed my channel or you're new to the channel, that's totally fine. This is a short film that I made last May called Family Heirloom. It's a silly film. It's got some action sequences, some dialogue. This whole thing was made to teach audio post-production and also to serve as a practice production for people, you know, because finding your first project can be a little bit tricky. So what this is it's like an AAF and a video file, and you can get it off my website if you want. If you do have something to work on, great, just follow along. But we've been working on this in Pro Tools. Whoops, that's not right. Yeah, that is right. Yeah, you guys can see me in the corner, and yeah, you can see the screen. So that's great. And you can see the chat. I put the chat on the side here. So we got Kevin Broman in the chat. We got Brandon Wells. So shout out to you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Like I said, we're going to be in Resolve, actually Fairlight today, not even Resolve, just the Fairlight tab. And the question I've posed is, can you do a full 5.1 professional level audio mix in Davinci Resolve? And the reason I've been thinking on this is because if you look at the last stream I did, not the last video, but the last stream where we talked about the future of Hollywood, I definitely, it feels like the industry has changed, and I think it's going to be a permanent change. So I think you're going to see more and more budgets being cut. I think you're going to see more picture editors tasked with doing audio post-production. So it's really going to be beneficial for you as an audio professional, or if you're a video editor, to really learn how to do quality work in whatever native platform they're cutting the picture in. So Resolve is great because it has a free version, and it also has a paid version, Davinci Studio, which is great. Like, it adds a bunch of features. It actually adds some features that I'll probably be looking at, like it has native support for auto-align posts, for lining up boom and lavs. But it's just, like, I feel like people are migrating to Davinci from Premiere, from Avid, and so it's going to be good for all of us to learn it because we can speak their language. But also, as we move away from the traditional do your picture cutting, send it to an audio post house, and, you know, basically have picture lock, we're going to be dealing with live picture changes that happen concurrently with the audio post production. It's already happening, really. Like, all the shows I work on, the big budget to the little budget, they keep cutting the picture after we start audio post. So I can see those two worlds kind of combining to where the audio post really is done in the NLE. It's done in Resolve, or it's done in Premiere. And it's super unfortunate. Like, I'm grieving over my career, but at the same time, for people who want to learn it, it could be an opportunity to really improve your value to clients. And then if you're a picture editor, like, you know, potentially be able to do both things. So what I focus on is quality for my channel, not like the quickest, like, just slap a, you know, a dialogue leveler on everything. It's really focused more on like doing quality work. Like, people throw around the word cinematic, but I just mean like doing good quality work. So that, to me, like, it's got to sound good at the end of the day. So in Resolve, what I've done is I've brought in my dialogue edit, and you'll see here I've got the tracks labeled: boom 1, lav 1, lav 2, boom 2, lav 3, lav 4, boom 3, lav 5, lav 6. I've done this so that if, after I've edited the dialogue, which this is imported from Pro Tools, so it's been edited, but you can see the fades have been cooked in, they've been turned into audio files. So it's not like as clean work as if I had done this in Fairlight natively, but I've already done the dialogue edit. I'm happy with it, so I wanted to just bring that stuff in. And I'm going to have a whole video series. I've already started it on doing audio post in Davinci Resolve. So keep an eye out for those videos. This is more of just an overview, like, is it possible? Let's answer the question, can you do a real, quote-unquote, real, you know, high-quality mix in Davinci Resolve? And I think the answer is going to be yes, you can, with a couple of hang-ups. So, like I said, I've done my dialogue edit. The reason I've labeled these tracks instead of A1 through A whatever is for organization, but also if, let's say, I wanted to mix the booms on top. I've had people ask about that, and this is something, the reordering of tracks is kind of weird. And anybody who knows Resolve better than me, which is going to be like most people, is there an easier way to just move a track up other than right-click and move track up? Because I really just want to be able to drag it up, and it doesn't seem like you can. Okay, you can in the mixer. There we go. So if you wanted to do booms on top, which I forget who asked about this. So beach balls is one thing we're going to talk about. I've noticed Resolve and Fairlight, they beach ball a lot. This is a beefy computer. This is a Mac Studio. Let me show you the specs on it. You don't need the serial number, but it's Apple M2 Ultra 64 GB running Sonoma 14.6. So it should be able to handle this, but I noticed Resolve and Fairlight, once you start making your project big, it doesn't like it. It starts to beach ball a lot. So you can see I moved the booms on top and the lavs on the bottom. This is also good if you have a lot of characters in a scene. Maybe you have 6 characters or 8. You can always add more tracks as needed. But again, I prefer to do it by shot or angle, you could say. And there's that beach ball again. Boom 3. So the beach balls is something we're going to talk about quite a bit because speed, efficiency, like, check that one in Pro Tools' box. Like, that Pro Tools is just way better. So what I've done here, I've got my dialogue edit. So I've got that up here. I have 2 X tracks. These are muted. These are tracks that Oh, Taylor says, opening up, I've got a text wrap here. Opening up the index and selecting the tracks from there is easier to move them. Okay. Simon says, do you work, Simon asks, do you work the same way as we work in Pro Tools, only one full ref video, or do you have all the video edit on the other tabs? So for this, I just have one video, which is kind of like, it's to lower the load on the CPU, but also you may end up working this way where they send you just the audio, because you don't need the ability to cut, the video up. But you could easily do this with, 250 video clips in here, and it would be kind of the same process. So yeah, I was talking about X tracks. These are tracks where I've maybe stored some stuff that I'm not sure if I'll need it, or unprocessed things. And it's just good to always have those muted, because these are kind of like, it's not a trash can, it's like a folder of stuff where it's like, I might need this, I might not. Then we've got 2 FUTS tracks. There's a little phone call that happens between the characters, so they each have their own FUTS track. I have Josh on one and Kyle on the other. We have some ADR tracks. So we have this by character, Kyle and Josh ADR. Really smart to cut your ADR by character. Then to round out the dialogue section, we have some voice-over design. These were processed by one of the actors in his recording studio. I liked his processing, so I just kept those. Those are stereo files. There's some kind of panning and stuff on them. And then I've got 2 PFX tracks. So these are production effects, like there's a lighter click, things that have been split out from the dialogue to just clear space, and also go to the effects stem. And stems. So if you don't know what stems are, if we look over here, can I make this bigger? No, I can't. I don't want to do that. I want to keep the buses where they are. I just want to make this bigger. So I'm working on a mix template for Resolve, and I've got this set up really similar to, I need to hide myself, really similar to my Pro Tools template, where I have 5.1 buses, dialogue, music, and effects. I have a mix 5.1 bus. I have an M&E 5.1 bus. So to deliver an M&E from Fairlight / Davinci Resolve, pretty cool. Then I've got stereo buses, dialogue, music, sound effects, 2.0 mix, 2.0 M&E. And I even have a web bus for a web mix, which will automatically compress and limit this to about -16 if you're mixing to a -24 spec. So the whole thing is set up to basically mirror my Pro Tools template, but in DaVinci. So, and then I have VCAs. For now, I just have very basic VCAs, dialogue, music, Foley, sound effects, and backgrounds. I might add more because I do have a lot of sound effects. I've got I think A, B, and C. Let me see, actually, it's probably easier to see on this window. Yeah, I've got A, B, C, D, and E sound effects. So I might add VCAs for each one of those. And so that's how it's set up. So everything's routed to the buses. You could easily monitor the buses by clicking here on what you're monitoring. Right now, I'm monitoring the stereo mix, but if you have a 5.1 or Dolby Atmos interface, you can actually monitor the 5.1 or Dolby Atmos from Resolve. So I'll be diving into that too, and then you can route it where it's going. So this whole setup, the routing and everything, took me a little bit to wrap my brain around. I can kind of show you where, like, here's the VCA assign tab. You can add, how many VCAs does it have? 128. Yeah, good luck mixing something with that many VCAs. And then you also have your bus assign. So this is where you can, it's kind of almost like a patch bay where you patch stuff. You can also patch stuff on the tracks, which is kind of similar to Pro Tools. So you just go to bus outputs, and then I am going to add reverb sends, which would go on bus sends. So the bus outputs, it just directs the track to the bus, similar to Pro Tools setting it on the output of the track. We got a couple questions here. Do you still bus audio similar to Pro Tools? Yes. Go ahead and watch that. I will do, so I've shot all the dialogue editing and dialogue mixing videos. Those will be coming out once a week, Thursday, I think at 8 a.m. for the next several weeks. And then after those are done, I'll get into mixing other tracks like sound effects basically the same as the 201 series that I did in Pro Tools, mirrored in Fairlight / Davinci Resolve. So yeah, other questions. If I use Reaper, may I ask if you have recommended plugins for 5.1 mixing? I would just, Shan, if you have Reaper, start with the basic stock plugins. And it doesn't matter what software you use, start with the stock plugins. They generally have everything you need to get started. And wait till you have a need to actually spend more money on plugins. I'm not a plugin junkie. I used to be. I'm a recovering plugin junkie. I definitely had an addiction to buying plugins. It seems like every time I worked on a project, I was opening my wallet for stuff. I think that's a bad way to go, because then you're focused on the gear and less on the actual skills. So spend the time to get the skills up to the right level, and then, you know, basically buy up when you need to. That's kind of my rule for that stuff. So if we go back to here, we got a couple more questions. Why do you have the stock NR and ACON in the dialog bus? Master Nelson, excellent question. And thank you for being eagle-eyed with that. So if we go to the dialog bus, while I work on the videos for mixing, I'm going to be talking about the stock Fairlight tools for processing stuff, along with some third-party tools, because not everybody wants to be a plugin junkie and spend $60 to $600 on the latest, greatest super AI waves, clarity / whatever, you know, neural network noise reduction. And you honestly don't need to. If you're watching these videos, there's a really good chance you're starting out, and just like I told Sean, like, start with the stock plugins, and if you need to buy up, it's going to show itself pretty quickly, like you're limited by the stock plugins. But honestly, great mixers are not limited by any tools. It's all ears, brain, eyes, and fingers, and like that's the tools you need. So yeah. So, but anyways, long story short, they each of these, the kind of built-in noise reduction and the ACON, they have a different sound and a different application. And so in the dialogue mixing video that'll be coming out in a couple weeks, I will actually A/B them and show you the difference and why you might want to buy a third-party noise reduction. As to why I have it on the bus, I explain it in that video also why it's good to work on both the track level and the bus level, and how if you're going for speed and consistency, having things on the bus can let you dial in like subtle things, like subtle noise reduction. I don't like hammering tracks with noise reduction. You can see, like, on my dialogue tracks, I have an EQ and I have a dynamics, but I don't have any effects. You could add effects. You could go here and add noise reduction. You could enable on the, you know, the track level, you could enable noise reduction on each clip if you wanted. So in my dialogue editing videos that I will be going through, you'll see like why I suggest maybe don't, you know, go here and do dialogue level or the noise reduction, because when you start to mix, you are really doing a linear process where you're watching the film and you're responding to the events and you're helping to tell the story. And so the linear nature of that and the scene nature, like, you know, 2-minute scene, 10-minute scene, whatever they are, really lends itself towards real-time processes and less clip-based processes. So check those videos out. I can dive into details on that stuff, but I really wanted this to be more of a, let's answer the question, can you use Resolve for professional, serious audio post-production? So Romulo says, ooh, I get to use my Spanish a little bit. What's the name of the program you're using? ¿Cómo se llama ese programa que usa? It is called Davinci Resolve. Most of you, if you've used Resolve, are probably used to this look or this look. This is the Fairlight tab, which is focused solely on audio. You don't even get, I think you can turn on the video track to look at it, But yeah, we're looking at just the audio, and that's the way we like it. There's so many how-tos on how to use Resolve for editing stuff and picture editing and color editing, or color correction / grading and all that stuff. So I'm an audio guy. I don't know jack squirt about that stuff. I mean, I know a little bit, but like, you know, I've been doing audio for 20 years now, and so audio is kind of where, that's my wheelhouse. Ali Raza Jeffo says, where are you from? I am from the United States of America. That's where I'm from. Cubase 14 is great. If that's what you got, use it. I've used Cubase a little bit. It's fine. It's like all, you know, for composing, Cubase is really good. But, you know, I do a little bit of composing on the side. Mostly I do audio post-production. So it seems like Resolve is kind of where that stuff is headed. Let me get me out of there so you can just see my mixer. Okay, so Pakistan is really cool. That's great. Yeah, we get people from all over the world. So if you guys want to drop in the chat where you're from, I love hearing from people across the planet. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. I talked about that. Okay, so another thing to talk about is, and I'm actually going to switch. Can I switch to this? Yes, I can. I can lean in like this. That's cool. I'm actually looking at myself on the TV. There's my multi-view. Oh, there's my Dolby Atmos speakers. Okay, so now we're going to get intimate here, and we're going to talk about the future of the industry, which is that we are moving into a creator economy. We're moving away from big studios making big projects. They're still going to do it. They are still going to do it, but the work associated with those is going to dwindle down until it's just done by a very few people. I'm probably not going to be one of those people. You are probably not going to be one of those people. It's possible. It's possible you are the best dialogue editor or the best sound effects editor or best re-recording mixer in the world, and you just haven't found your place yet. But it's more likely that we, the collective we, people working in production and post-production, are going to struggle to find work over the next 5 to 10 years. And why is that? It's because people are going to what you're watching right now, which is YouTube. So if the caffeine has marinated in my brain enough, I think I've come to a conclusion, which is that we need to pursue YouTubers. We need to pursue the creator economy. And that's going to mean learning to use the tools that they have and learning to use the tools that they use. We need to actually diversify our skill set a little bit. Being super specialized is probably not going to cut it unless you're a like veteran union person. But even those people are struggling right now. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to go the way of the dinosaur, or do you want to be the coyote or the cockroach, kind of gross, and be able to adapt and overcome the Bear Grylls stuff? And for me, I would rather adapt, improvise, and overcome. So that's kind of why I'm focusing on Davinci Resolve, because there's a lot of content being made that is not going to Netflix, Amazon Prime, ABC, NBC, BBC, BET. It's going to YouTube. My parents watch YouTube. They don't watch cable anymore. I watch YouTube. I don't watch as much as kids do, but still, YouTube, I feel like, has democratized content in such a way that you're going to end up seeing high-quality productions being made for YouTube. Maybe not next year, but in a couple years. So learning that platform and learning how to do audio post-production or any post-production or production for that, for just the amount of content being created, try to get the people at the very top, the cream that has risen to the top. Try to cultivate clients that are big YouTubers because they do audio post-production. I've worked for them. And that's just kind of, you know, that's my little industry rant for the day. So thank you for that. Okay, back to this. So how can we set up a mix session in Resolve to deliver multiple formats? I talked a little bit about busing. Really, the overview is that you want to work from the top down. So whatever the primo format is, if it's 5.1, work in 5.1 and then have down mixing using your bus outputs, your bus inputs, etc., to crush down and make a stereo mix or a web mix. If you're working just on web content, in my little rant I was talking about YouTube stuff, then you want to monitor that format. So I can switch this over to Mix Web 2.0 bus. Now if you guys would like to hear this, hopefully, let me put my headphones on. It's going to be pretty loud. It might be too loud. Let me just hit play and see.
Keep it safe. Someday you might need.
So that level compared to this level is actually the same. Why is that? Yeah, maybe, let me make sure it actually is.
Family, Northeast.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's Rainbow 69, 420.
So our short term's like -19. Let's just do the regular Mix 2.0 bus and see.
It's Rainbow 69, 420.
Yeah. Totally different levels. You know, the short term on that was like 29, which is more suitable for a, you know, theatrical screening. So, let's see. Let's see what we got. We got some comments here. We got people from Morocco, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, Montreal, Canada. We got some, I'm not going to use the disparaging term for Canadians we have in the US because I do not want to get demonetized. What else do we got? Minneapolis, Minnesota. I think they have bagged milk up there. Tom asks, really appreciate you doing this in Fairlight. Will the session be available? Yes, all my live streams, I just throw them on, I throw them on YouTube afterwards. They just get, I think it's called replay. So yeah, it'll be up there. North of Brand, I don't know what that is. Mike Wax says, embrace the tech and master it. Yes, learn how to use it better than anyone and how to fit it into your workflow. Do you use groups in Davinci, Master Nelson? Tell me about those, because this is like pretty new to me. You know, I've been working with audio for a long time, but as far as like, you know, using groups and stuff like that, let me just see if I can even do that. Do I right click it? I know you can link the clips. That is something, I'm going to write this down because you are getting my brain scratched. Look into groups. So thank you for that. Yavor Milchev says, greetings, Thomas. Soon I'll email you 2 films I edited, made sound effects and mix. All the knowledge came from your videos. I'm extremely grateful. Love from Bulgaria. Bro, that is awesome. I've worked on so many movies shot in Sofia that, like, I could probably have a 3-day watch party with you guys. So that is really cool and super humbling that you've learned stuff from my channel. That's awesome. Germany, Stuttgart. I was born in Germany. Master Nelson says it's in the top by the index. Let's see. Well, Inspector, help me out here. I'm learning this live. So do I click this? Reset audio effects. No, we don't want that. Video effects, transition image, not there. It's in the top by index. Okay, I'm up here. Okay, groups. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, interesting. Okay. So I add a group here. Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. So just like Pro Tools groups. This is awesome. This is super cool, man. Okay, gotcha. So I'm using VCAs. I don't think I would need this too much. But the VCAs, to my knowledge, only affect the volume. So if I wanted to group panning or editing, yeah, this would be really helpful. So that's great. I could even group the buses and stuff. That is super awesome. So yeah, this is really good info. Thank you so much for this. Yeah, so I'm going to be learning this pretty much as I go. The reason I'm doing pre-recorded videos is because of that, because like I've had to stop and look up stuff like how do I do this, because it's all new to me. So this kind of thing is great. Yeah. Edge, I would love to know your advice on selecting and designing sounds that all feel like they're in the same world. What makes one thing sound like it's from Star Wars and another like it's from Dune? That is, oh man, there's no shortcut for experience. So there's not like a how to train. I could maybe do a how to train your ears video, but really all that stuff just comes from doing the work and from getting the experience. So if you want to, learn how to make sounds fit into a picture or into the scene, you really just have to do the work. And the best thing I can tell you with that is find projects to work on and don't be picky about them. Like especially just starting out, you have to just work. It's just like if somebody were to ask you, Tom, how do I get to where I can do 200 push-ups in 2 minutes? I wouldn't say, watch this YouTube video. I would say, start with 10 push-ups. Work up to 20. Work up to 50. Pretty soon you'll be at 100. Then you'll be at 200. It's just going to take time, and there's no shortcut for some things. So I'm sorry, maybe that's not like a, buy this plugin or buy this template kind of answer. There's no shortcuts for it. You just have to do it. Okay. So Simon says, touch your nose. My kids are really into that right now. The software itself isn't that much different from Pro Tools, just need to learn it. But any mixers can learn it easily just by digging into it. And that is exactly my point. And you find, especially professionals, get very hung up on the way they do things. And they say, well, I'm not going to learn that. I have my way, I have my plugins, and that is how I operate. So no, I'm not going to learn new stuff. I'm just going to do what I've always done. And that has worked for them for the majority of their career. And they will continue to get work because they have consistent workflows that deliver high quality mixes, dialogue edits, whatever. But if the industry changes, where does that leave them? It leaves them with an outdated, depreciated skill set that they can't then parlay into something else. So yeah, I do think it's worth learning Resolve. It's worth learning, how people edit stuff. It's worth learning how the filmmaking process works, but also the creator process works with people posting stuff to YouTube. Yeah. Great question. Mike Wax says, can you control the faders with the S1? I have looked into this, and it seems like the answer is no. I have tried unsuccessfully to run the S1 in Huey mode or Mackie MCU protocol mode and have it hook up to Davinci, and it seems like it doesn't quite work. So unfortunately, no, and I just gave away my fader port 16. So that leaves me without a Huey controller, which I'm fine with. But most people are probably going to mouse mix, which I am going to go, I've gone through it. I have uploaded the video and it's just waiting to be posted. This is a little thing I don't like. You have to be right on the pixel to drag stuff out. Like if I go here, I'm dragging a box. You have to be like, nope, that's not even right. That's not even right. Give me a tip on this, because this is driving me crazy. There we go. So after clicking 10 times, you can rearrange stuff. So actually, that's probably a good segue into a rant, a Davinci rant. I'm not going to use Rant Cam for this because I actually want to look at this. Couple hang-ups. Couple things I don't like about Davinci Resolve. The first is it hangs up. It is slow. It is buggy. It is laggy. When you start moving stuff around, this is going to beach ball on you. It's going to groan and moan and say, no, I can't, and I won't do that. And I've noticed as I've gotten up to, 200 tracks or whatever I'm at, it's like trying to drive a overloaded pickup truck with 2,000 pounds of concrete in the bed, or a lorry if you're British or English or European. It is just unwieldy, cumbersome. I'm sure this will be improved incrementally, but every time I've sat with somebody and tried to teach them in Resolve, or I've edited in Resolve, it just kind of gets cranky and is like, no, I don't really feel like doing that. So it's not a very stable, it's not as stable as Pro Tools, and it's even not as stable as FCP, which I've used pretty extensively. So that's a huge downside to Resolve, is it's picky, it's finicky, sometimes it doesn't want to work, sometimes it beach balls on you just trying to do simple things like move a track or move a sound. So that's kind of a downside to it. Another downside is just the routing aspect of it. Like the bus assign, the patch input and output. This is a little bit confusing if you're coming from Pro Tools. So that is something that maybe just, consider that it's not, if you're coming from Pro Tools or a DAW, it's going to take you a little bit to wrap your head around it. So those are the two main hangups. And then the other thing I found with editing sound effects specifically is that you really need to be good at media management, because like if I were to open up Soundly and put a sound in here, which we can do right now, there's like, you kind of have to set up Soundly to make little files basically. So you have to enable audio storage. And you really probably want to set this with your media in your project so that it's, if you have to move it, it's right there. If you don't do this, it's going to create temporary audio files, and they're going to just go away when you close the session. So yeah, it's important to make sure you're actually doing audio storage, and like that's just kind of a minor thing. It's like basic, first assistant editor stuff, but like I said, creator economy, people are doing stuff themselves. Maybe they skip that step. And I know I did when I first started working in it. I was just thinking like, oh, it's like Pro Tools. I can just drag stuff in, and you can't. You really have to be careful about where things are in media managing. So that is another hang up. Now benefits, I really like the kind of channel strip method they have of, you've got track effects, you've got your dynamics. You can change the order of operations from EQ. I like EQ first, then dynamics, then effects. And they're built in here. You don't have to add a plugin. I kind of wish Pro Tools had this where it's just like every track had a dynamics and EQ just automatically. Just like a console would have an EQ and a dynamics section. So that's a huge benefit. Just working in a native thing that other people are editing picture in is a huge benefit. The routing capabilities are pretty strong. It does support Dolby Atmos, which I will dive into eventually. And I actually like this monitoring thing where you can change what you monitor. If I just wanted to monitor my dialogue, I could have all my sound effects and music playing, but I'm only going to be monitoring the dialogue because I'm pre-dubbing the dialogue. So that is super cool. You can dim it in the program. This is a minor thing, but if you have to reach to your interface to dim, instead it's right here. You can customize shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts. I've actually got mine set up just like Pro Tools, where I can do R and T to zoom in and zoom out. And then the support for external audio processes. I've got this set up to send stuff to Isotope, which is very useful. Bam, it's an isotope. Then you just save it, and it gets populated in your session. So those are some benefits to it, and I have yet to scratch the surface on that stuff. Got some more questions in the chat here. Yeah, you guys can kind of see them. I'm a 3D artist, and I'm trying to learn audio post for my own personal projects. That is great. We do have a Discord for members. It's for members only. So if you want to ask pointed questions just throughout the day, join as a member and you'll get access to that. I actually haven't been on there for a while. So let me show you guys what that looks like. And I'm not trying to like do too many sales pitches, but I actually need to add a Davinci tab in here, I think. So we got, here's our Discord. That's cool. Looks like somebody shared video from a different person, which is totally fine. I'm not precious about this. Talk about plugins. There's just a lot of good discussion. I'll add some more text channels so that we can organize stuff, because it's getting pretty big. It's getting a little bit unwieldy. And in spite of the state of my studio, I like to keep things a little bit organized. Okay, other questions. How did you do the ADR edit without Pitch and Time Pro? Yeah, I haven't really dove into that too much, but I'll check out the Elastic Audio plugin. I think there's even like a retime, right? Wasn't there be a retime? Is it Command R? Maybe not. Yeah, actually, if you want to tell me how to do that real quick, it would save me having to Google it. Maybe there's a tool for that. I'll have to look into that. Yeah, that's something, like if it's just straight up audio editing, Pro Tools is going to kick Davinci's ass every time. But I think Fairlight can get pretty close. Alexander Edit says Blackmagic sells their own Fairlight controllers, but they're pricey. Yes. I mean, the Avid stuff is pricey too. And Paul says Pro Tools forever for me, but I'm old school. Pro Tools forever for me too. I'm going to stop short of getting an Avid tattoo on my shoulder, just because I've already given them thousands of dollars every year, so they don't need that. But like I said, if you want to be useful outside of just stubbornly sticking to working in Pro Tools, I think it's worth learning Resolve. Because I've actually been asked to work natively in it before, turned down the project because I didn't know it. You know, I told them I could figure it out, but I don't think you want to pay me to learn. So this benefits me also doing these videos, because I will learn them. And, you know, I think it's kind of exciting to maybe work on a project that just stays in Davinci. It stays in Resolve, it stays in Fairlight, pieces are moving around. The media management and collaboration aspect of that maybe will be a little bit complicated, but you know, working on something, doing audio post on something while somebody continues to edit picture is just a nightmare with conforms. I just did a huge conform last week on an episode I'm working on, and it's great getting paid to do that, but at the same time, wouldn't it be easier to just work in the software that it's being cut in, so that the picture edits just roll through, like it automatically updates? I think that's the future of post-production. So that's another reason to maybe think about learning it. But if you just want to stick with Pro Tools, it's totally fine. Okay, so let me look at my notes real quick and just see if there's anything else I wanted to, I can show this to you guys, cover. We talked about that. There is a free and a paid version of this, and they're not sponsoring this. They haven't ever talked to me. This is just like, it just seems like it's something I need to learn. Benefits, workflows. So yeah, we talked a little bit about workflows. Like, you know, if you're just doing audio, you can just work in Fairlight. If you're doing both, you'll probably be going back and forth. You don't necessarily need to have picture lock if you're doing audio post in Fairlight. You can just work on it simultaneously. I don't agree with that from like a organizational standpoint, but you could definitely do that if you wanted to. So Mike Wax says, apologies if I miss this, but are there editing modes in Davinci? So you have these tool tips up here. You got focus mode, you've got range, you got a pencil tool, you have a razor blade, and like that kind of is how there's like shortcuts. Like I think I have it set up to be, is it E to make an edit, or B? It might be B. Yeah, I have B. So B makes a cut on the audio file, and I go through some of those on the Davinci dialogue editing videos that are continually coming out. More so in the actual editing part. Like I broke it up into little 8 to 10 minute chunks so that it wasn't like 30 minutes of me blabbing about dialogue editing. So this week, let me actually see what, which one I have coming out. Actually, I can show you guys this. I'll show you what I have planned on my channel. You guys can see this. Yeah, you can see this. Okay, so this Thursday we'll have dialogue editing part 3, which is filling and fading clips. Last week we talked about volume, loudness, mic selection, and phase aligning, which I haven't seen too many people cover in DaVinci. So boom and lav mics have different phase associations, and so you have to phase align them. Dialogue part 1 was just basic organization. So then part 3 is coming up this Thursday. Next Thursday will be cleaning the dialogue using Isotope. You can see that in the thumbnail here. Then the following week, April 3rd, will be dialogue mixing part 1, which is setting up of a session with EQ and dynamics and that kind of stuff. Basically building your template, and then and starting to do some basic fader moves. And then mixing part 2 is actually going to be noise reduction and VCA automation. So that takes us to April 10th. And then after that, I will be moving on to mixing other stuff, music and sound effects, and then kind of final mix and specs and all that. All the complicated questions that I guess I get for how to mix a film. So, okay, good question on that. How many people you work with are using DaVinci as opposed to Premiere or Avid Media Composers? Great question, Paul. I would say that, so you have different tiers of productions, like top tier, union, you know, the stuff that will go out into theaters and on TV, they're on Avid. They're always on Avid. Every big show I've worked on was exported from Avid before I got to work on it. So you have like the professional union shows, they're going to be all Avid. They're set up for it, they got the hardware, they have the licenses, all the editors are trained in Avid. Then you have like the mid-tier stuff and the lower, which are kind of grouped together. Those can be Avid, but they're more likely to be Premiere or Resolve. I've seen a pretty big shift away from Premiere, away from their subscription model, and people are just sick of paying subscriptions. So I have seen a pretty big migration to Resolve, especially on indie stuff. It just seems to be better set up for that. So that is kind of where I think people are headed. It's good software. It maybe doesn't have the longevity of Premiere, but it's great. I get along really well with it. I have worked in Premiere, I've worked in Final Cut, I've worked in Avid a tiny bit, but Resolve feels more like nuts and bolts, like kind of like how Avid is very Spartan and like utilitarian, and there's keyboard shortcuts and stuff like that. This Resolve feels more like that with up-to-date refinements and you know, the ability to do color correction. It's really like a production environment or post-production environment. Okay, so other questions. Focus mode is very similar to Pro Tools. I'll check that out. Let me write that on my notes here. Yeah, thank you guys for all the input, because you know, I'm learning this. So anything you tell me that I can focus on for you guys, I'm gonna do my best to do that. How do we change plugin knob mouse adjustments to drag up and down? Oh, that's a great question. I have no idea, dude. I'm sorry, Matt. I don't have a good answer for that. Yeah, that is something I noticed in DaVinci. If you like want to adjust this, you know, you have to go left to right instead of up and down. Like, I'm used to this. It mimics a fader, but in Resolve, it's left and right. So yeah, good question. This is where a controller would come in handy. The other thing, like if you're automating it, then you have to go left and right. But kind of the way I do it is I just type stuff in, you know, and that seems to be faster. Less frustrating, at least. Good question. Kevin says, I'm finally free from Adobe. No more subscriptions. Yeah, for like a marketing firm where they're using InDesign and Photoshop and Lightroom, like it makes sense to do your video content in Premiere. But for the rest of us schmucks, screw that. I'm not going to be paying another $100 a month for a bunch of stuff that I don't even use. So I'm trying to think of other stuff we could talk about. My phone turned itself off, which kind of makes sense. Did it die? Maybe, oh, yep. It says that I killed it with the battery. So this is something I should do next time, is actually have it on a charger. So I'm going to plug this in real quick to see if it comes back. No, I killed it. I actually killed the battery on my phone. That is really cool. That's amazing. Well, lesson learned on that. Plug your phone in if you're going to use it as a camera. The other ones are still working though, so that's good. Let me think of stuff I can talk about that I covered everything I wanted to. Let's open it up to Q&A. Maybe we could also, if anybody wants to come in on the stream, I could set that up. So if you'd like to be a guest, just say yes, I'll be a guest, and I will post the Video Ninja link. It's gonna maybe take me a second or two to like set stuff up. Okay, that's set up. You guys will be seeing, I probably should turn the video off, right? That's a hang up. Video settings. I don't think you guys need to see that. Disable video. Yeah, we'll just go without video for you guys if you want to be on the stream. If not, it's totally fine. This can be a shorter stream. This is kind of just an overview of where kind of I'm taking the channel for the next couple weeks. I can always take a break and do a Pro Tools specific video, but like at this point, I've covered most of the stuff I want to for Pro Tools. There's some like little tips and tricks I can share, but those are going to be short, 3-5 minute videos. And I feel like there's a lot of people working in Resolve, so it kind of makes sense to do the whole process again, which I don't want to do, but I'm going to in a completely different software. I could do the same thing in Final Cut and Premiere too, but then I got to buy more stuff. So Kevin says yes. Kevin, I will copy this link and paste it for you. And the password should be gold, capital G. I'll put that in here, password, capital GOLD. So feel free to jump in. I will have to go on headphones to hear you, and it'll take just a second to set up, but I think it'll be worth it. So Alexander says, you mentioned that you were born in Germany. Are you eligible for dual citizenship? I was born on an Air Force base, so I am a U.S. citizen. I have a very muddy, heritage. I am part German, 40% Spanish, a little bit of Danish, English, Native American, Portuguese. It's just a weird... It's like somebody just took a bunch of stuff and just threw it together. So it's really weird. I don't remember much about Germany because I was a baby and I was 2 or 3 when we left. So yeah. I remember the pretzel man. There was a pretzel man that would come on a bike, I think, and sell pretzels. And I remember as a 2-year-old being very interested in the pretzel man. So yeah. Master Nelson says, if you were to do Premiere, it'd be better to do, let me make this. I need to figure out my window sizing here. To do Audition, but it's even more limited than Davinci. Okay, we have, I think this is Kevin. And what I'm going to do is attempt, so Kevin, give me 1 second. I'm going to attempt to bring this up here. We got that. Okay. I'm going to see if I can hear you. Let me just set this up. System settings.
Check.
Oh, I got you there, but give me 1 second. I've got a... I should have done this before. Sound. Okay, so that needs to be set to Go Stream. And then I should be able to bring you over here. All right, can you give us a sound check?
Yep, I'm here.
Cool. Yeah, I can definitely hear you. So, can you tell us who you are and where you're coming from?
Yeah, my name's Kevin. I'm in just northwest of Minneapolis, St. Paul area, Minnesota, USA. And Yeah, basically lived here my whole life. Lived throughout the United States in various times, but always came back here.
Cool. And then, so what do you think about using Davinci Resolve as like a post-production platform for audio?
I know it's very capable. I've helped some creators and various people kind of stumble through it. I'm in the kind of the same boat as you, Tom, as I know Pro Tools fairly well, nothing like you, of course, but I've stumbled through Fairlight nowhere near as much as even you've got up now. But I've been able to make a fairly decent mix. Never done 5.1 on it at all because everything I've done has been, content creation, YouTube and stuff like that.
Cool. I'm going to try to adjust the audio a little bit. Can you give me a sound check? Let me refresh.
No, I lost you.
Oh, you can't hear me at all? All right, I turned echo cancellation off. Let me refresh the audio device real quick. All right, can you give us a sound check?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I think the echo cancellation, there's echo cancellation, so it sounds almost like you're doubled, but I'm just kind of trying this live, so it's probably going to be kind of weird. Let me turn off. Nope, I can still hear it.
Yeah, whatever you hit. There you are.
Okay. Oh, I see. There's a program. Check 1 2. Can you still hear me?
Yep, I got you loud and clear.
Okay, monitor mix. Let me see. Listen to this guest via your left audio speaker. I don't think we want to do that. We'll just leave it. It's fine. Thanks for helping me troubleshoot this, by the way.
No worries at all.
Okay, so then you said you've tried to teach people a little bit on Resolve.
Well, like I said, I've helped content creators kind of stumble through it where we've worked together. I've done a few things on it, done some audio editing for them, and then kind of helped them through the final mix part of what they wanted on their project. Only for YouTube, they've done some Facebook, Rumble, things of that nature where, excuse me, where they've just kind of wanted some help and some advice from someone more involved in audio than they were. And
Sure.
They looked to me for that. I've really kind of been sucked into the audio post world. I am a production sound mixer by trade and essentially get begged on almost every indie project that I'm on to do audio posts for them. And for many, many years, I tried to avoid it. I pushed it away, said, no, I'm a production guy, production sound. And it honestly gets to the point where people are begging, please do the project.
Yeah, and so that's interesting because I started doing production sound and the same thing. I'd be on set miking somebody and I would actually pitch people the idea hey, do you have audio post production lined up? And they would maybe say no, or yeah, we do. But it can be a viable way it was a viable way to kind of get your foot in the door. Have you seen any of the productions you work on skip hiring a skilled production sound mixer, and just try to do the production audio themselves?
A lot. Very, very often, to the point where I kind of stopped pushing people that you have got to line up a post-production team. You need audio post-production. You can't do this all yourself. And what I'm finding is with the indie projects in town, it seems like one of the first place for budget cuts is audio post-production and as well as production sound. It's we could try to do this ourselves. We can one-man band this with the camera or something. They find out very, very quickly that they can't, but it feels like what I'm seeing is audio in general is one of the very first places that is cut back in their budgets when they're doing their budgets. Everybody wants great wardrobe. They want to find the best actors they can in town. They want to be using the latest, red cameras. But when it comes to audio post, it's, oh, let's throw a Tascam out there with a plug-in boom and just basically capture area sound. They're not really booming it. And then it gets into post and they're like, man, the audio sounds terrible. And then they start throwing plugins at it in Fairlight or in Premiere. And then they come to me and go, hey, we did this project last year and it sounds absolutely terrible. Is there anything you can do with it? Please, 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 can you do something? Yeah. And I say, well, I hate to tell you, but this started at the source when you cut that budget.
Yeah, and there's been some discussion about, like, there could be a day where that doesn't matter. Like the AI revoicing software, which is already being used on big productions right now, gets so good that you really just need a scratch track for doing that, for running it through this neural network and kind of like replacing the voices. So it's kind of an interesting time to be working in the industry, to like see it take place. To me, it almost feels like probably when there was a switch from analog to digital, like going from cutting mag to working in Pro Tools. So do you feel like that is going to be kind of the way things go with, using AI to redo stuff, or is it going to stay just standard, mic everybody and try to get it best you can?
I think we're going to see AI take over post before we get to all the way to the point where they're just revoicing with AI. I have seen that. I've heard people talk about it, but I mean, I'm still busy enough on the production side where I don't see a significant drop off of people thinking, oh, we can just revoice it with the scratch track from the camera. But everybody's talking AI. Everybody says, oh, did you see what AI could do now? Did you see AI does this? What do you think about this AI tool or that AI? And the other thing is everybody's calling every new tool AI, when a lot of times it's really just a better algorithm, more machine learning,
Yeah, that's hilarious. It's kind of like calling tissue Kleenex. Like it's just everything is, oh, that's AI. Is that AI? Is that an AI? So yeah, it's
Right.
really, it's hilarious to me. So I was talking to a studio owner up here in Oregon, in Portland actually. He mostly does commercials. He does some documentaries and does some narrative projects, but really more like a commercial guy. Works with ad agencies a lot. Do you do any of that work? And if so, have you seen the work mirror the narrative side where it's dropped off a little bit, or has it remained consistent?
Yeah, definitely the commercial side is, I think, going to be affected first. I've seen the commercial part where this revoicing, they're calling it voiceover, but they're using AI. They're grabbing onto this quicker than the narrative or any content creators, anything like that. The commercials, it's just grind it out, slam it out as fast as you possibly can. And if you get a half a day commercial work, that's the most they want to pay for. And they're not going to wait for you to get the sound right, because they say, we're just going to revoice it, or we're going to redo it. We're going to ADR it, whatever they want to call it. I think the commercial work is all but drying up, for me anyway, from what I've seen in town.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's weird because like you see, they're adding commercials to Disney Plus, Amazon, Netflix, like all these things that used to be commercial free, they're adding commercials to them. So it makes me wonder, like, were these ones that they've had on deck, or are they like, I know there's a lot of ADR being done on them and a lot of virtual production, but used to be you'd see these in LA when I lived there, you'd see these huge, train of trucks going out from Coyote Studios to do a commercial for like 5-6 days, like a 5 or 6 day commercial shoot. And it seems like those days, similar to the film days where you'd have like 6 months of production, like they're just gone. There's no more of that.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm seeing is the big commercial shoots are gone. And like I say, they try to hire for half days to the point where I've had to put on my rate card, no half days. Because every single one of them asks, well, what's your half day rate? I don't have that.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, to do a half day, it's like it's kind of not even worth packing your truck at that point.
No.
Cool. Well, is there anything else you wanted to talk about with like regards to audio posts being done kind of in the box in Davinci, or like how that affects freelancers?
Definitely learn Resolve. I see it used to be everybody I talked to on sets as far as content creation or indie people, they're all Premiere. Oh yeah, I use Premiere. All of those people, I know maybe 2 indie people left that are still in Premiere. Everybody's gone to Resolve. So I would say learn Resolve enough to be dangerous to work with those people, at least at a bare minimum, learn enough to be dangerous in it. But for me personally, I'm a Pro Tools person. I love Pro Tools. I've been with it. I'm an old guy, so I've been with it forever. But yeah, you got to know Pro Tool or DaVinci, and learn enough in Premiere to walk somebody or talk somebody through it so they can get an AAF out to you. I've learned that you need to learn the different editing tools enough to be able to get something out of them for you if you're going to do audio post on it. That's the biggest struggle I have, is getting a quality AAF and video guide track out of those programs so that I can use them.
Yeah, that's important. And then I think the programs that like Resolve to me is probably the closest one to Pro Tools as far as a workflow of like being able to do real audio post-production, routing and busing and like just the way it deals with audio editing. So I also think the day's coming where people are being asked to work in that program as a collaborator, not as just a hired gun, like we're going to send you the AAF, but like, no, work in this so we can keep editing. And that's kind of the whole focus of why I wanted to do this series, is because I've been asked that in the past and I've had to turn it down, and I don't want to have to turn it down. And I don't want you guys to have to turn that down either. And it's free. Like the software, the free version of Resolve is really powerful. So I think it's a no-brainer. Like download it, learn how it works, and then that can maybe help make your career, go a little bit longer than if you're just stuck to one DAW.
I hate to be a commercial for DaVinci Resolve, like nobody's getting anything out of this. But the reality is Blackmagic has shown for years now a commitment to keeping DaVinci updated, latest and greatest tools. They keep adding things to it. They listen to their users. When the users say, hey, we'd like to see this in your program, they get it in there. And they're constantly updating this program. So to me, I like DaVinci. I think it's a great product. And like you say, you can get a copy for free. And even if you buy the paid version, it's cheap. And their mentality is we want to give you a quality software product that works really, really well, so that you will go buy our hardware and it'll work seamlessly. They publish software to sell their hardware is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for coming on the stream. Thanks for your time and helping me troubleshoot some technical stuff. And we'll have you on next time. Did you want to drop a website or anything like that where people can check out your work?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go look at my production site, it's Lake One Sound, and one is spelled O-N-E. So Lake One Sound. And that's my production sound mixer site. You can reach out to me for audio stuff with that too. Audio post, I do a little bit of audio post, but mostly production sound. And Tom, like everyone has always said, I've got to say it again. We can't thank you enough for what you're doing. You have literally saved my bacon from your videos.
Oh, thanks. That means a lot to me. Well, Kevin, we'll see you next time, okay?
Thanks.
Yep, bye. All right, that was so cool. Man, man, awesome to have people on the show. I think we'll just do that one guest. So yeah, we covered a lot of ground today. Here's the timeline that I'm working with. I'll make sure to have those videos I kind of showed you earlier in the stream, like when they're going to come out. So we will be mixing this again, at least grossly mixing it. Like, it's not going to be maybe as polished as the Pro Tools mix, but it's going to be pretty dang good. And then I do have just the dialogue section of this on my website. If you just want a head start, everything's set up and routed for $5. You can check that out. There should be a link in the description of the video. I will furthermore have a full 5.1 and stereo deliverables mix template on my website for Fairlight. So kind of mirrors the Pro Tools template that's already there. So yeah, that's coming, and then I will just keep on doing as much as I can. If you guys have ideas for videos, specific topics you want covered, all you have to do is comment. I may not respond to every comment. I try really hard to, but I have like real life stuff going on. And but I'll at least read it and like mentally catalog like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for helping me work out some bugs with my new gear. Hopefully the stream looked and sounded okay, and I will see you guys next time. Till then, take care.